Oh, does he ever rant on this? I love Alex Jones. There's a like folk song that someone songified of Alex Jones, and when he's talking about I'm angry, I've had enough of these people.
The company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers, scum. They're on giant death factories, keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum.
You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen this?
I've seen it years ago, I think.
I don't see much Alex Jones stuff, unfortunately. He's a funny guy.
He's making a comeback. He's lost weight. He's clearly on some Ozempic and some TRT, and that's
no, he's
good,
on colloidal silver. Don't
colloidal
make no
silver?
mistake.
Wait,
He's gonna
is that what Elon's on also?
Colloidal silver?
It's just some shit he pimped back in the day. I have no fucking
Elon says he's on Ozempic. And then he's like, I'm actually on, and then it's something else I forget the name of. It just doesn't have the same ring as Ozempic, where everybody heard of it.
He doesn't seem fat enough to be on Ozempic.
I don't think it's about being fat enough. It's about being wealthy enough, and he qualifies.
Oh, that's true. He's wealthy enough to do anything. So, what conspiracy would you guys have the most like fun with if it were true? Like the most mental fun?
Like if it was They Live, right? Like if aliens had done a non-hostile takeover of the planet like decades ago and had been shaping our society and had moved themselves toward the upper echelons of our society, they were the oligarchs and the pullers of strings, if you will. They were actually lizard men, like from Planet Alpha. Like that would be pretty sick.
I think he clarified one that wasn't.
It'd be
true.
scary.
Can I?
Yeah.
No.
I want to fact check myself. Taylor, will you pronounce that word for me?
Manjaro?
Manjaro. Oh, okay. Everyone knows this word but me. Now I know that I've heard it. Anyway, that's what he's actually on. He called himself Ozempic Santa with a flattering picture. He's like, I'm actually on Manjaro. It just doesn't have the same ring as Ozempic Santa.
Oh, it's probably just another brand of it. But how about you, Brandon? What conspiracy, if it were true, would you have the most fun like mulling on? Like the most enjoyment?
I don't know. Most of these are just like existential and kind of scary. It's like the whole like, oh, what if we're in a simulation? And then they start going at all sorts of scientific shit that I'm just like, ooh, that sounds real enough that I'm slightly bothered. I'm just gonna stop fucking thinking about it.
So you guys are just
believe that one.
Ones. Kyle, you picked the horrifying one that like we find out that aliens have been in control the whole time. That's awful.
No, then we get clearly you haven't seen John Carpenter's They Live.
I have seen They Live.
Okay, well then I want to go ham on them like Rowdy Roddy Piper. All right,
but Roddy Piper lucked out because those were like some ineffectual aliens.
Did he luck out? Real ones, he dies at the end, Taylor.
Well, he lucked out in the whole battle where like he was somehow
shot him.
Spoiler alert for a 50-year-old movie.
Yeah, damn, Tal, you ruined it.
That blue-eyed bitch from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe shot him with a 380 at the end.
Yeah, you guys are like thinking about negative ones. Think of how much fun it would be to mull over if we discovered, beyond a shadow of a doubt, verifiably, that man walked with dinosaurs. And not only was it like ancient man, that those dragons that you see depicted in ancient Chinese lore and in ancient European lore, that they actually had giant lizards they were fighting. And sometimes they would ride them.
Okay, that'd be pretty sick. Pretty sick.
That's so much better.
Now in this scenario, is it that dinosaurs lived into our times or that we are millions of years old?
No, they lived like when we were building castles in France. There were dragons.
How about this? How about that? We were an advanced civilization that lived alongside dinosaurs, and when the asteroid came, we froze ourselves and restarted 65 million years later when the climate was right.
That's fun too. See,
that's fun too, right?
Yeah, it's just like
that's the big reveal at the end. You need that.
It's just like modern day where everybody's too fucking stupid to restart society effectively.
Yeah, it just doesn't work out. You have to learn agriculture again.
I love the idea that everyone's too like those other people are stupid, not like me who totally knows how batteries work.
Oh yeah, totally. I totally
know how batteries work. Your knowledge of pool pH levels have taught you how ions move from one substance to another. I
feel like if I went to Rome, like better yet, if I'm a caveman, if I'm all the way back in the caveman days, it's like Yeah, I've only seen this rubbing sticks thing on YouTube. This might never work.
Oh,
Yeah,
being the first guy in like old timey England to be like, I've got an idea. Maybe we switch out the crops in the fields year to year, and it'll make it better. Everyone's like, I get a load of Stevie here. He thinks planting the beans and then the celery's going to fix the soil with his magic. And it's like, everybody would have made fun of that guy. You're like, this fucking idiot thinks that if you plant beans after potatoes, it's going to magically change.
I think that's ancient tech, though. That's like 6,000 years ago. I was watching a clip from Three Body Problem, and there's a part where the aliens are talking to the humans, and the aliens are on their way to kill us. It's going to take them 400 years to get here. And they're like talking shit to our face because they know it. And they're like, it took you from caveman, it took you 90,000 years to invent agriculture. And then it took you like this many to invent industrialization. And then this many to the information age. You know how long it took us to go from to invent agriculture? And they're like, way longer. And they're like, yeah, way longer. So they've got to like fuck our science up so that when they get here in 400 years, we haven't advanced past them. Because on our normal trajectory, in 400 years, we would swat them like bugs that they are when they arrived. It's really deep
super
on science. Yeah.
One of the things that they do is they try to upgrade what I'll call the hardware or the wetware that is humans, right? So if you agree that humans have roughly been as good as we are now in terms of like a hardware perspective, right? Like if we took someone from 400,000 years ago and put them in today and had them raised by your parents, they wouldn't be like at an evolutionary disadvantage. They're basically the same kind of humans we have now. If we spent 200 years just upgrading that through like some sort of eugenic, selective breeding, biohacking, whatever it is, then imagine what the next 200 years would do in terms of improvement when the population has been upgraded to something better than we are now. We fast forward evolution.
You've been using the same hardware on these calculations since dawn of memoriam, and suddenly to change, that's never changed. So to change that, like you said, would be an exponential growth in our advancement. You're absolutely
starting to sound like Bryce Mitchell a little bit there, Woody.
Yeah, this is what the Eugenics War and Star Trek was fought over. This is some Wrath of Khan bullshit.
We don't actually know what Bryce Mitchell would say. Maybe he would say Woody's correct, and maybe he would say that
he'd say the headaches won't stop.
Those were seditious lies against his favorite guy.
Say the Earth is only 5,000 years old, and that I'm wildly off because it was created in Adam and Eve, and that's the direction I think he'd
take. Like 5,000 years. It's like we know the name of kings from like ancient further back than that. Like
whichever his co-host would not want
6,000 is what they think. I'm saying it's
what they believe.
It's supposed to be billions, but they that's one of the when you throw a number out in the billions, you can kind of like you get a lot of leeway with corrections. They can be like the universe is 30 billion years old, and then 20 years later be like, actually it's 70 billion years old. And it's like, you son of a bitch. That's a big increase.
I don't think that's true. I think they've had a firm grasp on the age of the universe and the age of the Earth for a long time now. They know like pretty close to how, because they also know when life began. They can, but somehow they can look at the genetic, the way the DNA across the planet has changed, and they can like reel it back to see how long things have been
evolution.
Evolving.
One of your Darwinian lies.
And they can determine when life started. So that's one of the ways they know that life began on Earth almost immediately as soon as it could begin. So the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Life began after the Earth was 1.5 billion years old. Basically, as soon as it cooled off enough that like there could be pools of water and liquid that weren't scorched. Because for a long time, the Earth was molten, longer than it should have been molten because it was hit by this other planetary body, and we got all melty, and then the moon like globuled off and became our moon and everything.
I'm not saying this is the case because I don't believe it, but it's very funny to think that maybe like that's old science, and some guy came along, he's like, well, I did the calculations, it's actually 7 billion years old, and everybody looked at him like the guy who said we should rotate the potatoes. Like, okay, you old earther.
Yeah, old earther.
When Kyle said that the age of the universe is like settled science that we've known for a long time, I'm like, is a long time 30 years? Like, how long is a long time?
Yeah,
because that's all fairly new to me.
I would say 120
to what degree
years
of specificity?
would be
120
my guess.
years. That's longer than I expected.
120 years. You think we've known? We're not even 100% sure we know the age of the universe now. That's pretty ballsy to be like, guys, we almost have nuclear power down. By the way, we've known the age of all that exists for 100 years. It's like, I don't know about that one.
The one that blows me away, to Kyle's 3 body point, really, from first flight to landing on the moon, is that 69, 63 years? Does anyone know? It's something like
66 years, I think, because it was 1903 was Wright Brothers, and then
you can't just average my guesses. That's cheating.
The moon landing was sorry. No, if it was 1969 was moon landing, and 1903 was the Wright Brothers.
I believe so.
Oh, they were earlier than I thought. Good for them.
I love how North Carolina gets too much credit for that. It's hilarious to me. We're like the first state to fly, first in flight. It's on our license plate.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
The silhouette of a biplane on there.
2 guys from Ohio looking for a good beach. That was our. Here we were.
I bet the North Carolinians were bullying him at the time, being like, "Get a load of these fucking homos trying to fly." You're like, "You'll see. You'll never put us on your license plates and brag about look at the bike boys."
We have these dunes in Kitty Hawk. I've been there. They're still there, where it's windy and the air kind of like goes up the side of the dune, so you kind of have air blowing up, which isn't super common, and it's not that dangerous because the other place air blows up is as it blows like a cliff. But if you fuck up your plane, you die. So here they were in these kind of soft dunes. It was a great place to make your first flight. But
so you're saying they cheated?
Oh, let's talk about plane crashes while we're on this topic.
A little bit.